Hi, my name is Christopher Kazama, also known as Chris from Yoko. And if you don't know me, just know that I've been a PlayStation fan for a very long time. A very long time. So understand that the criticisms I'm about to make in this video aren't coming from a place of malice, but they're coming from a place of love because I have experienced multiple eras of the PlayStation. That being said, let's get directly into the point. Dear PlayStation, your exclusives are boring. Let me explain. Now, I'm not saying that every individual PlayStation exclusive is boring. I love The Last of Us Part 2, and despite all the criticism that it received this year, I thought Naughty Dog created a phenomenal experience inside the world of The Last of Us. Ghost of Tsushima is hands down my game of the year for 2020, and I love what Sucker Punch is doing with this game, and I can't wait to see what's next for the studio. On top of that, throw in some God of War, some Horizon, some Uncharted, and you have a whole list of top tier AAA games coming to the PlayStation 5 exclusively that I don't think anybody should miss. But this video isn't about the top tier AAA cinematic experiences that headline the PlayStation 5. It's about the small, quirky games that added so much variety to the PlayStation ecosystem. And while every game that I named prior is fantastic in its own right, I personally believe that PlayStation has gotten a little too comfortable with shooting for the stars with every new exclusive that they launch, considering that we know it's coming, and it's kind of made their lineup of games boring. Now, I want you to guess what's my favorite video game console of all time. It's not the PlayStation 2, even though it's the best-selling console of all time, and it has some of the greatest games that we've ever seen. And it's not the PlayStation 4, even though it's gonna be the best-selling console of all time in a few years, and it also has some great titles as well. Actually, it's the PlayStation 3. That's right. The redheaded stepchild of PlayStation consoles. And I know that probably sounds crazy, and I may be in the minority here, but I'll give you two reasons why. Number one, Sony was not dominant during this era much at all. In fact, they were getting blew out by the Xbox 360 because of the price point and because of the features that were being offered over the PlayStation 3 features. But the difference maker is that every game that we got our hands on back on the PlayStation 3 around this time, it just felt like a secret gem. Like we were the only ones to know about these games versus now where every big exclusive PlayStation game is like one of the most anticipated games of the year. Number two, ironically enough, while the PlayStation 3 wasn't very dominant and Sony was in a lot of financial trouble back then, they took a lot more risk because there was a lot of variety on the PlayStation 3. Games like Fat Princess, games like Puppeteer, games like Ragdoll Kung Fu. I mean, these games were fun and quirky. And yes, they didn't ship millions and they weren't all commercially successful, but these games really made the PlayStation 3 ecosystem what it was. Let me give you an example of one of my favorites. So there was this PlayStation 3 game released in 2008 by the name of Little Big Planet, and it was made by a small studio by the name of Media Molecule. You might have heard of them. They most recently released a game on the PlayStation 4 called Dreams, and if you haven't played it yet, you should definitely give it some time. It's some of their best work to date. Little Big Planet offered something that a lot of multi-million-dollar video game companies can't give us, and that's an organically fun game. It wasn't big budget, it didn't have a bunch of action, there was no super cool cutscenes. It was just a really cool, fun game with a cute protagonist and Sackboy and a world that you can get lost in because of the vast online options. Fast forward 12 years later, and what's one of the big PS5 exclusive launch titles? Sackboy's Big Adventure. And rightfully so, because he deserves his own game. So while there were games on the PS3 that were dominating commercially, like Uncharted 2, which became Game of the Year in 2009, and Infamous, which was Sucker Punch's next big game since Sly Cooper, games like Little Big Planet offered a laid-back, relaxed experience that kind of just fell into everybody's library quietly. And that's my point. Yes, we know about God of War. Yes, we know about Uncharted. We know about The Last of Us. We know about Horizon. We know about all these great games. They are top tier AAA games that I wouldn't miss for the world. But I would also love for PlayStation to continue to invest in these smaller studios that may not ship 1 million units in the first week, but they make fun games that I also wouldn't miss for the world because they're just different. I feel like we've gotten so caught up in every game being so technically perfect. Every game has to be 60 frames per second. Every game has to be so crisp and it has to run so smooth. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but is the game fun? Because if the gameplay is not fun and I'm not immersed, then what's the point? So to the folks at PlayStation, if you see this video, this is coming from a fan. Please continue to invest in those small studios and make those fun and quirky games, because I promise you, we will definitely support and appreciate it. But that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comments how you feel. Do you agree or disagree? This is something that I'm really passionate about, and I would love to discuss it with you guys. If you're new to the channel, please think about hitting the subscribe button and hitting that notification bell for further videos to come. And until next time, guys, have a great day. I'm out. Peace.